And we eventually learned, through a preponderance of evidence, it was undeniable that Frank Hoffman was not telling us the truth about his involvement in the Roswell case. So we need to, it's not just abductions, but it's throughout the field, and we've got to get to the point where we look at the evidence and see what the evidence tells us, as opposed to seeing what we'd like the evidence to tell us, and that's sort of invaded the entire field.
Well, very good point, and obviously very, very interesting. And I think, Kevin, what we can do here now is actually begin to run things up here for the first hour, and then continue talking more in the second hour for our members. This has given us a very good background picture, so to speak, that you've painted for us in terms of the problematics, if you will, as well of the UFO study, basically. And in the next segment here, I want to go then in more detailed into MJ12 specifically, going to Roswell a little bit more, and also talk more about your book, Crash. But I think maybe to run things up here for the first segment, maybe you can mention your website for us, and also some of the titles that you have out there for people who want to dig deeper into some of these subjects, and maybe find out your take and some of your research, not only in terms of Roswell, but also the MJ12 documents, Kevin.
I know if you type a different perspective, UFO, into a Google search engine, you'll get to my website. If you type a different perspective, which is the title of it, you end up with a number of different things like that, and you have to go down a ways to get to my blog. But a different perspective, UFO, gets you to my blog, but it's also www.kevinrandle.blogspot.com, and it started out to be a look at a lot of different things. There was early on there was some articles about Anastasia, the woman who claimed to have survived the assassination of the Tsar in Russia in 1917, this Anna Anderson. There was a discussion about the Bermuda Triangle, the Allende letter. So it had evolved into looking at all these sorts of esoteric things. And lately I noticed it's been an awful lot of stuff on Roswell, long discussions on what happened in Socorro in 1964. But we try to move about and look at a lot of different things. So it's looking at that. I did the first UFO book I did was called the UFO Case Book. Then there was UFO Crash at Roswell. I did The Truth About the UFO Crash at Roswell with Don Schmidt, A History of UFO Crashes, Conspiracy of Silence, Project Moondust, Scientific Ufology, which looks at a way of studying UFOs with the scientific method instead of a rejection of it. I did the Roswell Encyclopedia, which was just a sort of a big book about the various components of the Roswell case and looking at all of that. And the new book coming out in the spring is called Crash, and it's a look at UFO crash stories, starting with France in 840 A.D., moving up to an event that took place in Ottawa, Canada, in 2009. So it's a 1,200-year look at UFO crashes, or the stories of UFO crashes, and what the solutions might be.
Very interesting. Let's talk a little bit more about that in our next hour as well. But again, the website is kevinrandle.blogspot.com. We will have this linked up on redicecreations.com as well. Stay with us, Kevin. Thank you for this first hour. We'll take a short break, and we'll continue talking after this. That's our first hour with Kevin Randle. We'll go into detail about the MJ12 documents in hour 2. We talk about the people involved in bringing forward the documents. We talk about the military generals that was mentioned to have been involved in Majestic. We talk about Kevin's research and his thesis that the documents are fraudulent. We talk about legitimate military investigations of the UFO phenomena and some of the different consequence projects like Sign, Saucer, Grudge, Blue Book, and also Project Moondust and Blue Fly. We talk more about the Roswell crash and bodies found there. We talk about other UFO crashes throughout history. One from France back in 1840 AD, and all the way up to events in Las Vegas, in Kecksburg, in Canada at Shag Harbor, and other sightings like the Phoenix Lights.